your cable. It's all on the internet. Our tech workshop series is open to all Ashby Village members and UC Berkeley Retirement Center retirees. And we're great to have you all here. This series is co-coordinated by Pat Harm and Meryl Gearhart, who are both UC Berkeley retirees and Ashby Village volunteers. Okay, we're going to start with a few words from Carrie Sweeney, the director of the UC Retirement Center.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Carrie Sweeney, the director of the Retirement Center. It's so wonderful. We have 68 people on the call on this event today, and we're very excited to partner with the Ashby Village technology team to offer this presentation today on streaming. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you, for those of you at the Retirement Center who may not be familiar with Ashby Village, I'd like to share a little bit about them. Ashby Village is a nonprofit organization that helps connect seniors living in Berkeley, Albany, Kensington, El Cerrito, Emeryville, Richmond, and North Oakland. They connect people with each other and with the resources to remain in their homes and communities. So to remain actively and independent. And they're part of a larger village network. For those of you retirees who are calling in from all over the country or all over California, it's part of a larger village movement to help people remain in their home, volunteer driven. So today's presenters are part of the membership of Ashby Village, with knowledge and expertise in technology that is exemplary of many different minds and visions in the Ashby Village community. And for that matter, the example of what exists in many village communities throughout California and the country. So we're pleased to partner with them today. I've been working with the executive director and this team and other teams on with Ashby Village, many of whom are retirees from the university, to bridge programs and services to be able to support retirees living in their community who want to remain in their homes. For more information on Ashby Village, you can visit their website, ashbyvillage.org. You can also contact me at carrie.sweeney@berkeley.edu if you'd like to be in touch with the membership team or have any questions. As a gerontologist myself, I am a big supporter and fan of the village movement. It's an ingenious way to help people stay in their homes and stay independent and engaged. So thank you very much, Hillary and the team, for partnering with us today.
Hey, thank you very much, Carrie. Okay, now we're going to ask Parisa, Jesse, and Celine to give us an overview of today's Zoom features and how to use them.
Can you hear okay?
Yes. And of course, they said it was being recorded.
All right. Hello, everyone. So my name is Parisa, and I work with the UC Berkeley Retirement Center. And I have a couple of volunteers who are, well, one of whom has graduated, but they are from a group from Berkeley called Bears for Elder Welfare, and that is Jesse Kim and Celine Lowe, and they're going to do a little bit of a Zoom overview because I know Zoom can still be a little bit new for people, so just some basics on how to kind of interact with this platform. So I'm going to hand it over to them, and they're going to share their screen and show you some Zoom features so that we can go smoothly in this meeting.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Celine.
And I'm Jessie. We are going to give you guys a brief overview of some basic functions on Zoom so that the meeting can run smoothly. Hillary, do you think you can unshare your screen just for a little bit? Thank you. All right, so I will mainly be explaining Zoom if you're on, and it'll look similar, this presentation will look similar if you're on a laptop or desktop computer. But if you're on a different device like a cell phone or an iPad, it'll look kind of similar. Maybe things will be in different spots, but basically the same. So first, before I jump into the presentation, if you look at the top right-hand corner of your screen, you should see a little grid icon that says gallery view or speaker view. Now, if you press this, if you press on the speaker view, it will change so that your screen is probably filled with my face because I'm currently speaking. And then if you press it again to gallery view, you'll see a bunch of little squares of everyone's faces. And then there's arrows on the right and left if you would like to just scroll and see who else is in this meeting. It's one thing to note, it's a little bit confusing because it'll say speaker view when your screen is in gallery view, and then it'll say gallery view when it's just a speaker box. But you can just press that to see which view you like best. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. All right, oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. So like I was saying, the speaker view and the gallery view icons are right here where the red arrow is in the upper right-hand corner. So if you press that, this is gallery view, and then if you press speaker view, it'll be one box. Below on the left-hand corner, you'll see a little icon that looks like a microphone. And this is to unmute and mute yourself. So if you press it and there's a red slash going through it, that means you are currently muted. So that means we can't hear you. And this is good practice to keep yourself on mute so that it's not disruptive when someone's presenting. So during this presentation, if you can keep your mic muted with the red slash through it, that would be great. And if you have a question when there's times to ask questions, go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can type a question into the chat box, which we'll cover in a little bit. So if you press it again, then the slash will go away, and now we can hear you speak. Okay. And Celine, do you want to go ahead and explain the camera?
Yeah, and so the same idea applies to the video button. It's directly next to the microphone, and if you click on it, like I'm going to right now, a red slash will appear and your video will cut off. So this is a good function to utilize if you maybe need to use the restroom or your connection is a little wonky and you just want to clear your screen for a bit. And the next two features I will go over are good for interacting in this presentation. So as you see on the screen, there's a red arrow past, it's pointing to the chat box. And if you go ahead and click on that, a pop-up box will appear. And so in this pop-up box, you can go ahead and type any questions you might want to ask the presenters during the seminar. Another thing to keep in mind is that you're able to, as the arrow is pointing to, click who you want to send the message to. So if you click the blue box, a drag down box will appear and you can choose if you want to send a message privately to someone or share your thoughts to everyone in this presentation. Awesome. And now we're going to the participants function. If you click that, another pop-up box will appear. And now you can see everyone who's with you today. If there's a red slash through the microphone and video, it means that their audio and camera are off. And if there's no red slash, it might mean they're talking. We wanted to point out a very important feature you can use here. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to click the blue hand icon, and that will notify the host that you have a question you want to ask. And then we can, if you would like, you can go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question or type in the chat box. Sweet.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Oh, we had one more thing to point out, the reactions icon. So if you click on that, these little reactions will appear, which are clapping hands and thumbs up. So maybe during this presentation, if you thought something was interesting or cool, you want to applaud or just thumbs up, you can do so and it'll pop up in your little box, and it doesn't make any noise or anything, but just something to keep in mind. And yep, that's all.
Great. Okay. Okay. Here we are. Thank you, Parisa, Jesse, and Celine. That's great. And on to the next slide. Okay, this is our introduction to the team members. All right, so we are a team of 6 Ashby Village volunteers, part of the Ashby Village tech team. And unfortunately, Sam couldn't be with us today, but he has done a lot of work on the slides and the articles. Is fully a member of the team. So we briefly introduce ourselves, starting in the order on the slide. Go ahead, Bill.
I'm a Ashby Village tech volunteer. The expertise that I bring to the tech volunteer group is primarily post-processing. That is, after you've taken digital image, printing it, editing it, printing it, displaying, and that kind of thing. I joined this group of people to build this workshop because of my basic lack of experience. I just started Zooming or streaming about 3 months ago, and I thought maybe my input as a person that is just starting this would be of value.
Great. Thanks, Bill. Pat?
Hello, everyone. I'm an Ashby Village volunteer and also a UC Berkeley retirement volunteer. I'm interested in lots of gadgets, especially Apple products.
Howard?
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm an Ashby Village volunteer as well, and my background is in broadcasting and technical services. And I have especially, I'm fond of the Apple products and Apple infrastructure, so I have an expertise in that. I look forward to answering any questions throughout the seminar.
Great, thank you. I'm Hilary Naylor. I've been a Ashby Village tech volunteer for about 1.5 years. My background is in tech consulting for nonprofits and schools, and as a membership trainer with Amnesty International. And I also joined this workshop in hopes of learning, and I have learned a lot more about streaming than I started with. Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm Lincoln Spector. I'm another volunteer, of course. I've been a technology journalist, writing mostly for the for regular consumers, not for the tech people themselves, for about 35 years. And I also write a movie blog, and I like to combine the two of helping people deal with watching at home and such these days.
Great, thank you. So a brief overview of what we're doing today. This workshop has 2 parts, a presentation and a Q&A. And we dropped the breakouts because there were way more participants joining the workshop than we anticipated, and it just became infeasible to organize people into breakout groups. So we'll have the presentation, we'll have a 10-minute break, and then we'll have all your questions as one big group. When we have the break, they'll be about halfway through, please stand up and stretch. There are no lines to the bathrooms here. I think the Zoom overview has already suggested how you may organize your screen, whether you want to have a gallery view or the speaker view. So let's get started. All right, take it away, Pat.
Now more than ever, we rely on the internet for news and entertainment. You really don't need to pay for cable or satellite television. You can get all the shows from the internet. This workshop will help you customize your choices so that you can watch what you want, when you want it, and on any device. We're going to cover basics such as what is streaming, review some internet requirements. We're going to talk about devices such as Roku, Apple TV, etc. We'll identify some paid subscriptions and some free services. We will explore streaming topics such as sports, movies, and news. Hopefully, we'll provide more clarity to the many streaming options. And if you have questions during the presentation, communicate to us through the chat room and we will stop periodically to respond.
Great, thank you, Pat. Take it away, Howard.
Yeah, so I did a little research about the history of the beginnings of streaming, and it goes back to a company called Muzak back in 1930, where they developed a technology that enabled them to send data over electrical wires, and that data happened to be music. Music then that they sent was piped into elevators to help soothe the concerns of people being transported up to the heights and skyscrapers, and therefore the term elevator music was coined. Skip to 1974, and that's when another innovation came about called teletext. And it was used to enable viewers of TV programs to see additional information while watching programming on TV. And it was the start of interactive television services. Flash forward to the 1990s and the development of the internet. There were two companies called Real Networks and Microsoft, and they were both vying for domination in the fledgling streaming media market. And Microsoft actually came out on top with their Windows Media Player. However, at that time, internet speeds were very slow. You might remember dial-up modems. So the business model went unfulfilled until the mid-2000s. Then there were a number of companies that were trying to develop viable business models for streaming media over the internet, but there was no universal protocol and companies had their own proprietary software. But by 2013, the industry fully developed an interoperability standard that spurred the current plethora of streaming services we now enjoy. YouTube in 2006, Hulu in 2007, and Netflix in 2008 were the early stars of video streaming, and they're still the dominant players in today's video streaming market.
Thank you very much, Howard. Okay, so in terms of the basics, the first part of the presentation, well, we're going to talk about what is streaming. Streaming is anything that you get on demand, whereas TV is anything that the providers send to you at a given time, day, and place. That's my personal definition. The others may have different ones. And the issues around streaming are what devices you use, what service you use, and what you want to look at. And that's what we're going to cover in these next slides. We're going to start off with Bill. It's going to, well, before you can cut your cable, literally cut your cable, you have to know what your internet requirements are going to be if you're not going to use your cable anymore. So Bill is going to talk about that. Thanks, Bill.
Yes, thanks, Hillary. Good morning, all. I'm basically going to talk a bit about the kinds of things that can happen that can affect your viewer enjoyment of your TV. And one of the issues that comes up often is a thing called buffering. This is when you get your picture freezes and you get the little buffer wheel going round and round and round, and it drives you nuts. When I first started streaming 3 months ago, I had that issue big time. And it's basically a problem with speed. Hillary, can I
Can
ask
you
you?
share your screen now?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Okay. So, as I said, this is something that has to do with the speed that the information is coming into in your TV, and there is a way of determining this. It's an app called Speed Test, and I would suggest that if you want to test the speed in your home, um, mount it on your iPhone or your smartphone. The reason I say that is that the speed at your TV is going to depend upon how far away your modem is. So if you're out in the den and your modem's in the living room, your speed may be slower than if your TV is right next to your modem. Now, the speed, usually it's a 5 to 25 megabits per second range that's normal. 5 is absolute minimum. And 25 would be pretty doggone good for HD TV. Now, to determine, to get the little speed test going, I first like to go to Comcast because that's my provider, and then I click go. And now my computer is probably 10 feet from my modem. And so the speed that it's going to show is going to be more than enough. Download is the critical speed. Now I have tested this in the room that's farthest from my modem, and I find that the download drops to about 55 to 60. So that distance that your TV is from your modem can be critical. Now, most people are not going to have a big problem with the speed unless your TV is in the next block. So it might be a case of a problem with your modem. Now, let me show you this is what my modem looks like. And it's the kind of modem that you get from Xfinity. I'm a Comcast subscriber. And it has a bunch of little lights here in the front of it. This one right here is critical in that if that's lit, then your modem is online. If it's not lit, if you're not online, and I'll get into my experience with that I had recently in just a moment. Okay, so restarting your modem would be a way of kind of booting it up and getting it working properly again. When I was experiencing the buffering issues, I thought to myself, well, I'll just unplug my modem and let it sit that way for a while and then plug it back in again. So I unplug it, wait for 30 seconds to a minute, plug it back in, wait for it to get back up and running, which is about a 4-minute period. Nothing. Did me no good whatsoever. I still had buffering. So I thought, okay, it's time for me to bring out the heavy equipment, and that's basically going to be.
Hey, Bill. We had a question, clarifying question about, are you talking about streaming through a smart TV was the question that we got?
No, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, either a smart TV or using a, like I do on my TV, a device that you plug into the television that lets you stream. I use a Roku branded device. But it would be the same, and the speed kind of thing, whether it's a smart TV and you're using that smart TV capability or not. So this is the home. This is the website for Xfinity. If you're an AT&T user, you'll find this kind of thing going on their website. Sonic, those kind of things. But on whatever website you use, the home page should have something that says support or something related to support. So if I push that, it gives me this. Now, I'm not interested in TV streaming here. This is what Xfinity, they have a streaming service as well. But I'm interested in this, and particularly this little command. So back when I was trying to correct my buffering issue, I clicked that, and Xfinity turned the modem off, and then got it into a restart process and did the kinds of things that Xfinity does, I guess, when they're restarting a modem. And I went out, sat down, and started waiting. And about 5 minutes later, it was still restarting. 10 minutes, still restarting. 15, still. It took 30 minutes for it to complete the restart process. And so I figured, boy, there's something pretty major going on here. And sure enough, there was. I turned the TV back on, and I haven't had a buffering issue since. So whatever Xfinity was doing during that period of time, it worked.
Hey,
Any
thank
questions
you,
about that?
You can stop sharing.
Yeah, one other thing that can cause you problems in terms of your signal is losing your internet completely. And that happened to me yesterday morning. I was going to sit down to breakfast and watch TV, watch the news, and no TV to be watched. So and the little light that on my modem that indicated that I was online was not lit. And so I went about doing other things, and about 15 or 20 minutes later, I noticed the light was back on again, but I was standing by a window and there's a Comcast out in front of my apartment building. So I said, okay. So I went down and talked to the guy, and Comcast was having some problems with relays in the neighborhood. And so he had just fixed my building issue, and just at the time I got down to talking to him. So you're going to have some interruptions on the part of your provider. And that's something that's a little bit new for us cable people. I can't remember the last time I had any problem with a disconnection because of cable or that kind of thing. So one of the things that streaming, you have to cope with streaming is the fact that you may find yourself experiencing more interruptions than you may have when you were doing cable. Any questions? Okay. Hillary?
Okay, great. Next slide. Off to Howard and Lincoln. Devices to connect to this internet connection.
Okay, Howard, do you want to do Apple first, or do you want me to do Roku and Chromecast first?
Apple, that's the top of the slide, so we could do Apple first.
Sure.
If you want to change the slide, Hillary, to the next slide. So Apple TV, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about Apple in terms of the fact that they both make hardware and they also do software. And sometimes it can get confusing because the word Apple TV is used to describe both their hardware and their software. So just for now, we're going to talk about their hardware. And Apple TV has a box, and that box also has a remote. And you could buy this at Best Buy or any other Amazon.com, wherever you want to do that. And it starts out, I think, at around $149 and goes up to about $199 if you have 4K capability. That's a higher resolution than the standard HD TV. And with this Apple TV, if you can change the slide to the next one, Hillary. When you plug it into your TV, you'll see this interface. And this interface is very elegant, and that's the kind of thing Apple TV or Apple is known for, is their elegance. And you'll be able to see all these icons. All these icons represent streaming services. So you can have Netflix, YouTube, Prime, which is Amazon TV. And then if you're a baseball fan, you have Major League Baseball, you have Vimeo, you have Criterion Channel, etc. You can have hundreds and hundreds of different subscription services that are basically together in one screen. And if you subscribe to any of them, all you do is with your mouse, you click on it and you'll go to that particular subscription service. So it's a very elegant way of being able to connect to all the subscription services that you have in one place. And that's what Apple TV hardware does. You want to take it from there on Roku?
Yeah, okay. Both Roku and Chromecast, the one big advantage is that both of them have, compared to Apple, is that you can buy a device for about $40. I think it's even $35 now for the Chromecast. Chromecast is a unique kind of concept because rather than using a conventional remote control, you use your smartphone to select movies, control, do pause, all of these things. I've got a video of how Comcast works. Hillary, do you want to start that or you want me to start it?
I've got it here. Chromecast first.
Yeah, let's do Chromecast first.
Okay, as you see now, it's set on playing Blu-rays, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We're going to bring up a movie on Criterion. There is the Criterion app. Tap on it and it opens. And you see this little icon here means that it's supporting the Chromecast. So I tap there, and then I tap it where it says UC Theater. That is just something I named it. When you set it up, you can ask for what it named. They usually something like living room, but whatever. Now here, there are all sorts of movies. You can search for movies. So let's look for something here, and Sun Doesn't Shine. I don't know what it is. Okay, but I tap Start Watching, and here, and Sun Don't Shine is. Okay, you get the idea. Okay.
Okay, for the Roku is much more convenient, much more conventional. It has a conventional remote control. It has a similar interface to what Howard showed with the Mac, where you can pick things. And I might add that both of these, just like Apple, have hundreds and hundreds of apps that you can use. So why don't you run the other video, the Roku?
Okay, now we are looking at Roku. At this point, you actually have to get
to Roku on your own television. I don't know how it is on yours, but once you have it, you notice you have a pretty conventional remote control. Now this time you can look at all of these different, what they call channels on the Roku here. And you can watch movies, news, all sorts of things. Let's go to Fandor. Another movie one, and it takes a little while to get there. Okay, so you can go looking around for something. Okay, so you start this one. It takes a little bit, and hit play, and it's retrieving it, and the movie starts. Anyone have any questions about these?
It looked like we had some questions about, being able to do this on a smart TV, and like, what is the purpose of having something like a Apple TV or Roku or Chromecast, as opposed to a smart TV?
That's a good question. One thing is, if you don't have a smart TV, then this is a lot cheaper than buying one. Another reason is that the smart TVs generally don't have as many options as they don't have as many channels, or if you want to call them apps, to find. For instance, Criterion, you probably will not find on a smart TV. There is an exception to that. These days, a lot of smart TVs have Roku or Chromecast built into it. So, for instance, I have Chromecast built into my own television, so I can watch it. I don't have to buy a separate device. I also, with that, I want to bring up something else that might be important to a lot of people, which is closed captioning. My daughter-in-law is hard of hearing, and for that reason, my son bought a television with Roku built in, and he said he picked Roku over Chromecast because Roku has better closed captioning. So that's something that can be important to a lot of people. Any other questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple other ones. One is about being able to reach local news, like our national news, like CNN, MSNBC. Is that something you're going to talk about later, or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll get to that later. And then there's a question about how to select the appropriate Roku device for your TV.
If you go to the Roku website, they'll actually tell you what the differences are between the devices. So they have a page on their website that actually compares the features of each of their products, including the Roku TV.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Okay, let's move on. Our next topic is subscription services.
Okay. YouTube TV, I think I could start off with YouTube TV, and I'll do a screen share on that, okay?
Okay.
All right. And so this is, does everybody see this YouTube TV?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So this is YouTube TV, and it looks like a conventional cable type of a menu where you can actually scroll and see what's on different channels. So if I wanted to watch PBS right now, I would take my cursor and just go to the PBS channel, which is located right here, and click it, and I would get the PBS programming.
Are you still Daniel? I'm still Daniel.
It has the same features that most cable TV have. You can actually record programs. If you go to the home screen, you can actually see programs that you've recorded. And you can schedule programs to be recorded. You could see programs that you've been watching and you can resume watching them. You also have access to additional channels. You could actually customize your live channel as well. So let's see if I get rid of this here for a second. There's a custom button on the right-hand side, and you can hit the custom edit button, and you'll see all the different channels that are available. So if you're interested in sports, there's NBC Sports Bay Area, NBC Sports Area Plus, ESPN, all the sports channels that you'd want. There's also the news channels that we were just discussing before. So you have MSNBC, CNN, and blank. Then you also have, of course, all the other regular channels and cable channels like, and you can determine which ones you want. So if you wanted to add Disney Channel, let's say, to your TV offerings, you just click the button and that becomes part of your scrolling of TV channels. So you can add and customize anything you want within the channel groups that they offer. And it's almost as rich as cable TV. But like cable TV, you're paying for the whole package. So this started off a couple of years ago at $49, and they keep on adding more channels to their service, and the thing is now $65 a month. So it's starting to look more and more like cable TV and cable TV's model for charging you for programming that you really never watch. So that's something that's a negative. But that's a good overview. And of course, you have a library. So things that you've actually recorded in the past, you can always view. They just stay in the cloud, and you can view them in your library, like so. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
It looks like we have a couple questions about YouTube TV. One of them is, if anyone here has YouTube TV, what's your experience been like? Because someone says it has everything I want, but I've read really mixed reviews about the interface and quality of the streaming, and notes that they have very high speed internet.
Well, it's like anything else. If you don't have a good internet connection, it's not going to perform well. But if you have a good internet connection, it's like watching regular TV. The quality is HDTV quality. It's as good as broadcast TV. So if you have interruptions, it's generally because your internet connection is not fast enough and is not supporting the service itself. But I find it very reliable and very comprehensive.
And can you use features like fast forward using YouTube TV?
Only if you've pre-recorded a program. So if you've pre-recorded it, or if you start it and then stop it for a half hour and it's still recording, then you could do it just like you would with cable TV. It's like it has a DVR function. So if you pre-record it or you stop it and it just continues to record, then you can zoom past the commercials, just like with a regular DVR option on cable.
And there was also a question which might be more of a personal preference question. It says, if you use YouTube, if you use YouTube TV, can you get rid of cable?
For the most part, yes. It's a substitute for cable. You get all your local programming, plus most of the cable programming that you're paying over $100 for in most cases with cable. So you're still going to save money if you're getting a cable package of 200 channels. You're not going to get as many channels with YouTube TV, but you're going to get all the major ones that most people are looking for.
And it also looks like Bonnie has a hand raised. Did you want to ask your question out loud, Bonnie? Are you there, Bonnie? Did you have a question?
I unmuted myself and then it muted me. It sounds as if you have one of these streaming services that you don't have to pay for a DVR because the services have that integrated within them. Is that correct?
Correct.
YouTube TV has a DVR service built in, and you're not limited in any way by how many programs you put on it. So there are some services that where you have a limited capability of how many programs you can record and keep in the cloud. YouTube TV, which is owned by Google, by the way, has unlimited DVR recording capability.
So it depends on the streaming service as to whether you have a DVR function, right?
Yeah, yeah, well, I suppose so. Yeah, I don't know of any services that don't have that capability that are like YouTube TV. I think there are a couple of satellite companies that offer similar services, not quite as extensive, but I think that most of them have DVR functionality built in.
Thank you.
Can I jump in with something here?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. To a large degree, you get, in fact, a large part of this is getting rid of the cable, and you don't really need the YouTube TV, in my opinion. I think it's costs too much. You can just get the apps you want and it's much cheaper that way. And you really don't need a something like a TiVo because it's always there. All the shows you might want to watch are always there.
Well, if you want to cut the cable, you could do it in a number of ways. There's, of course, your TV antenna. If you have good reception with a TV antenna, you'll be able to get all of your local TV stations without cable TV. Not everyone has good reception with an antenna. So having a YouTube TV as an option is a good option. The other thing is there's another service called Locast. And what Locast does, and they offer this for free, it's a software-based streaming service that takes signals off of local antennas and puts them into its streaming format so that you could see them if you're in a bad location and can't get TV reception. And that's for free. So you can always get Locast. And they ask for a $5 per month donation. And when you do that, you don't get these like commercial interruptions. Otherwise, they're consistently asking for a $5 fee before you watch any program. They're asking for a donation. So for basically $60 a year, you can get an antenna type service through Locast. So those are two ways you can cut cable. Not all of services channels that cable offers are available as apps. So it depends on what you're really looking for, what kind of content you're looking for. That determines what service you're going to be wanting to get.
Okay, I think we should move on. You want to say a bit about Criterion? Is that you, Lincoln?
Yes, of course.
I open the link here.
Yeah, sure. Criterion Collection is originally started out with Laserdisc and then DVDs and Blu-rays, and now they're streaming. These are a collection of world films, all sorts. I don't know how many they have. It could easily be in the thousands. Tremendous amount of films. It costs $11 a month or $100 a year. They have commentaries, extras, and just if you really are concerned about cinema as an art form, this is something you really should see here. I mean, right here you've got Sullivan's Travels, which is a masterpiece. Brazil, Magnificent Ambersons, just right there.
Right.
I think that pretty much says it.
A few words about the other three.
Well, I think most people know about Netflix and Amazon Prime as subscription services. They're the granddaddies of them. And Hulu also is similar in that they offer programming. They offer their own programming as well. So there are things that Netflix now produces, as well as Amazon Prime and Hulu, that you can't see on any other service. So if you want to watch Magnificent Mrs. Maisel, the only place you can be able to watch that, I think, is Amazon Prime. So they're proprietary in terms of the content that they have. That's the main differences between them is now, and Apple TV Plus also is in that mix, and now Disney Plus is also in that mix. So there are literally hundreds and hundreds of subscription services that offer their own content now. And in order to see that, you have to pay a monthly subscription fee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now what about, how do you go about finding something in all this huge opportunity?
Oh, yes.
Just watch.
Okay, are you going to do this, Lincoln?
Sure, okay. Just Watch is a website that will find where you can see what. You can type in Gallipoli is a good example. I think you don't just have to start with it. GAL, and there we go. It just came up immediately as soon as it did this. As it did for a second. Ah, there it is. So you can click it. It's a good example because it's streaming. And why don't you then raise it up a little bit so we can see what we have. So it's on Prime Video and then you can stream it on Criterion, on Canopy, which is another excellent film service, and that one is free. You can rent the films on like 7 different companies. This is where it's like going to the video store that you used to do, only it's done at home. And you don't have to go out to the store and get something that's physical. Very, very easy way to find what you're looking for.
Anybody want to offer some ideas of something they'd like to search for just to see what it looks like? Put it in the chat. Nothing comes to mind?
Any movie you want to see?
Any movie you want to see? I know what I want to see because I just saw it.
Apocalypse Now.
There it is. It's right down at the bottom. You can just click on it.
This one?
No, the one at the top.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
So there's all the choices you have for watching this film.
Mm-hmm.
Woo. Not for free, right?
It is. This is a free service.
Yeah, but none of these all have
Oh
prices.
yeah. Well, the HBO ones, I assume it's
That you have to have a subscription to watch
Yes.
it on HBO.
Yeah.
So anything where it says stream, if it's not for free, if it's not like on Canopy or something like that, then it's a service that you have to pay for.
And the ones that say buy, what that means is that it's still streaming from that service, but you can use it anytime, forever, in theory, forever.
Okay, all right, thank you. And that was a Just Watch. That's just a screenshot. And a couple more services we were going to mention.
Yeah, so IMDb, which is a service that rates movies basically and talks about movies. They also put out a newsletter, an email newsletter, and they have streaming guides, editors' picks of what they recommend for streaming. So that's another resource for you. And then if you go to the next slide. So services like Netflix and Prime, all of the Apple TV also put out their own recommendations. And when they get new films or new content to share, they'll let you know about it. And they have kind of a profile on you based on what you've been watching before. So they'll recommend programs that they think that you might like. The next slide. Then you have newspapers like the New York Times. I think the Chronicle has articles also every week about what you can watch. And they have like weekend watching newsletters and watching during the week. And again, recommendations for new content that comes up that they think people might be interested in watching and where you could watch it. So these are all just really good resources for people to find out where content can be found.
Great. Okay. And on to this confusing topic to me anyway of rentals. Maybe Lincoln can explain it.
Okay, let's say you want to see Casablanca. And you go to something like, so you find it on Vudu. You click it, you pay $3 or $4, and you have like 2 days in which you can see Casablanca. That's it. It's as simple as that.
And the list here is all the places where you can, or some of the top places where you can rent in that way, right?
Yes.
Okay. And free content. Howard, were you going to take this one?
Yeah, let's see if I can do this.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah. Okay. Let's get out of this one and.
Oh, but they're so cute.
So where are we? What are we talking about now? Top free content. So I want to go to YouTube. Hold on a second, and that's YouTube TV. So just type in YouTube. And YouTube is like the supermarket of free television, free content. So with YouTube, you can basically search YouTube for anything you want, from do-it-yourself videos to Boston Symphony Orchestra concerts to basically anything that your heart desires. You just put in the search engine and it'll come up with something that will give you some content about that. So if I were to put in the search engine, My Boy Bill from Carousel, well, I don't know what that is actually.
My memory is not as good as.
It's a different one. That's a different bill.
I think that's an ad before the movie. I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yeah, yeah.
And Am I doing this again?
Please clarify specifically, have you taken?
This is a Trump ad. How about that? Didn't realize that would come up. Let's do something else. Anybody have any ideas?
Laurel and Hardy.
All right. So here's things that are on YouTube that are about Laurel and Hardy. Anyway, so YouTube has everything from their search engine. You just type in what thing that interests you. If you want to change a light bulb, you could put in change light bulb and how to change a light bulb.
All right, bye.
Okay, goodbye.
Problem is that you get commercials before that. But anyway, the video's there on how to change a light bulb. So it's an amazing resource, and you could see so much content that you could spend years trying to go through it to see everything you wanted. So that's YouTube. Different than YouTube TV, and it's run by Google.
Okay, next one, Vimeo.
You want to do that?
Vimeo?
Yep.
Vimeo is basically it's very similar to YouTube. It's smaller. It doesn't have as many things. It doesn't have as many users. But it's really the same, very simple. It's the same sort of concept. Anyone could put up anything up there. I would mention Canopy as something that is really useful. It's a service that is done through libraries. If you have a library card, you can stream a movie or a TV show for free. What they do that sort of keeps it down a little bit is that you, at the beginning of every month, you get X number of credits. Right now it's 10. Used to be 7. They put it up to 10 during the pandemic. And so you can only see 10 movies a month. So that's how they handle that. Hoopla is a similar thing, although I'm not really familiar with it myself.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same type of service as Canopy. It's through the libraries, and you rent out content, borrow content. You don't pay for it. You borrow content just like you'd borrow a book. You would borrow a film or some content, and you have to return it within a specified period of time. It's a really great way to get media, to get content on a free basis.
Great. Do we have any questions?
Well, I will say something about Hoopla. Yesterday, I learned about Hoopla during our dry run through, and I loaded it on, and it's very easy to access. And I found that 7 films that weren't even offered in Netflix or Amazon Prime, and they were recent films like 2019, 2020. So this is a great way to get free entertainment. It's very easy. So try Hoopla and try Canopy. Hoopla is great.
The only thing that you might run into is just like with any library, they only have so many licenses that they can only share content with so many licenses for each piece of content that they have. So you might have to wait. If it's a popular thing, you might have to wait to get access to it, just like a popular book. But once you're in line, you'll eventually get it.
So what I did was identified some, and I tapped the heart, saying I like this, and it gave. I have a little cart now. So when I do eventually borrow it, I can borrow it for 3 days.
Right.
And then I have to return it.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it.
I have two questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have an old smart TV, that means 3 years old, and it only allows me to go into Netflix and Prime and a few other streaming services. I don't think that it allows some of the ones that you have mentioned, whether they would be free or paid for. And I was wondering, how can one go around that? Would that be by connecting to the internet and going directly to the website?
Well, no, what you would need is something like a Roku or a Chromecast.
Oh, but I mean without buying another device.
Oh, yeah, you would need another device for
You
that.
need another device. Yeah, that gave another your TV. Some of the older smart TVs and even some of the newer ones. The software, first of all, the software on smart TVs is not generally as good as the software on these third-party like Roku or Apple TV or Chromecast. They're just not as well designed and don't offer you the same kind of picture quality. So smart TVs have the convenience of having the built-in software, but they're generally not as good an interface as a Roku device or an Apple or a Chromecast device. And the smart TVs don't allow you to add much content. So if you don't have a smart TV that came with some of the newer content, like if you don't have Disney Plus on your smart TV, there's no way you can get it. It's kind of, that's it. It's what you get when you buy the TV.
Oh, okay. So you're going to come back to that in a little bit. Just move on to the next slide, and we're close to taking our break time. Just a quick review of the different topics that are covered by the content in the streaming services. And I thought we would just take a brief moment to ask each of the presenters what they most enjoy about streaming and what is most important to them about it. Just each one in turn, starting with Bill. Unmute, Bill, unmute, please.
Got to unmute me. Okay, I'm ready to go. Okay. Well, I started streaming in order to save money and to get the same content I was getting for cable, and so I went with YouTube TV. My interest is in news, sports, documentaries, and that kind of thing. I have no interest whatsoever in movies, you know, the day-to-day TV programming is not a big interest for me.
Okay, thank you. Pat?
I guess I like the fact that streaming allows me the freedom to look at things when I want to do it. And there is just so much out there. I could spend 24 hours a day, but it's great.
Good, thank you. Lincoln?
Okay, yeah, for me it's movies, including documentaries. I consider them movies. And there's something called virtual cinema that I want to bring up here, which is something caused by the pandemic. With all the movie theaters are closed, the people who own these theaters are in very bad condition. So some of the distributors, the more independent distributors, are allowing the movie theaters to stream into their movie, the distributors' movies through a theater to watch it at home. And it usually costs about $12, which is much more than you usually get, much more what you usually have to pay for to stream a movie. But the thing is that half of that amount goes to the theater, so that when this whole thing is over, hopefully the theater will still be there. So in the East Bay here, the 3 theaters that are doing virtual cinema are the Elmwood, the BAM PFA, that's Berkeley Art Museum, Pacific Film Archive, and the Elmwood, yeah.
El Cerrito. El
The
Cerrito.
Thank you. The Cerrito, the Elmwood, and BAM PFA. And you can go to their websites and you can rent a film to stream and help the theater while you do it.
Great, thank you. And Howard?
Yeah, I like my TV programs and news and sports and movies and documentaries. So I have YouTube TV and I have Netflix and Amazon Prime and Criterion Channel, and I enjoy all of them. And at different times when I'm in the mood for something, I choose whatever I like. So I cut the cable for cable television about a year ago, and I'm enjoying it.
Ah, great, Renaissance man. Okay, folks, it's time for our break. Uh-oh, no, I put in a break there and it didn't appear. So 10-minute break. So we will reconvene at 11:32. And please have a stretch and come back and put some of your questions in the chat. And we'll spend a little time after 11:30 until we run out of questions there's quite a lot in the chat already, so we've got a lot to cover. So take a break, please, folks. Bye-bye. Okay, 11:32, let's get going. Parisa, are you there?
I'm here.
Can you remind people how to save the chat? Because there's a lot of good Q&A in here.
Okay, how to save the chat?
Yeah, to save, how do people remind people how to save the chat? I think there's a button at the bottom of
Oh, yes, there is a button. Sorry, I was like, what? Yes. So if people want to save the chat, because there are a lot of really great questions in here, you can go to your chat box and there's a little box that has 3 dots on it. And if you click on that little box, there should be an option to save the chat and you'll be able to save the questions and answers that people might have provided in the chat box.
And it will be saved on your own personal.
And it will be saved when so it will be saved when we do the recording as well.
Oh, right, great. So we get it both ways. Excellent.
Yeah. And it looks like we're getting a lot of great questions in the chat. And it also looks like someone has a hand raised. So whenever we start questions, we can.
Okay, so just to introduce this section of questions, what we're going to do is take, first of all, questions by the segment or topic that we had in the presentation, just so we can cluster things a bit. So the first topic was internet requirements, and then we had devices, and then services, and then content. So we can go through those 4 first and get those questions that are specific to those topics first, and then have it just open up to any questions anyone has about any streaming anywhere at all. And we can go into gallery view for that. Okay, so on the internet requirements, we had a question from somebody about that. Maybe Bill, you can take this one. Is it possible to find a low-cost internet service provider in the Bay Area that will give the needed bandwidth for streaming?
I understand that Sonic is doing a pretty good job of providing service, and it's not as expensive as Xfinity and maybe AT&T. Lincoln, Howard, maybe you guys can add to that.
I have Sonic, and I love it. Sometimes I get up as high as 800 Mbps, both up and down. Wow. Right now I'm not. Well, right now I just tried one, and I got a little bit on the slow side for download, which was 331.95. But upward, I've got 777.25. They've got terrific support. They have, there's no caps. You can use as much data as you want. They have one of the best security systems. They don't spy on you, and it's a very it's a really an excellent system. And if you have it in your area, especially if you have their fiber in there, it's just amazing.
Great, thank you.
Another internet service provider, the one that I'm using is called Monkey Brains. And they use a microwave technology to be able to send high-speed internet connections. And they've been very reliable. My whole building is using that right now. So Monkey Brains is another ISP.
But how much speeds do you get?
I get excellent, well above what Xfinity and AT&T provide.
Okay.
So much more, and it's $39 a month, $40 a month.
Oh, that's terrific. Thanks. Do we have any other questions on the internet service requirements? We note that Sonic doesn't service El Sobranti. Cynthia, you have a question about this topic? And see, Cynthia.
I might want to add something a little bit, that for streaming, what you really need is the download. But for a lot of other things, including Zoom, you want fast download and upload.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need good speeds both ways. If you're sending even an email and you're attaching any kind of media, a video or a picture to it, if you have a very slow internet connection, it's going to be hard pressed to do that in a quick fashion. So, and most people today have good internet speeds. It's in more in rural areas where they're having problems getting broadband, but in cities, it's pretty much the norm now.
Okay, I think that was it for service providers. The next subject was devices. Do we have any questions that are specifically related to the devices?
May I offer one?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm John Holtz-Richter. I keep getting confused with the box that the cable reaches when it comes through your wall and then distributes either wirelessly or by wire to your TVs or other things. Could they explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Lincoln, do you want to take that one?
Okay, I guess you're talking about the internet coming in, I assume. Yeah, it comes through a modem from into this is wired at this point, and eventually it gets to a router, which can put it through to other computers or to Wi-Fi. Most routers these days, the big thing is Wi-Fi, and you have a Wi-Fi connection. Most people do, I think, to their television.
Okay.
And just a note about connectivity. It's not really where the proximity of where the modem is. So the modem is provided usually by the internet service provider, or you could even provide your own modem if you don't want to pay a monthly rental fee. The modem then connects to the router, which then provides Wi-Fi signals so that you can do your browsing and connect your devices wirelessly. But you also can use an Ethernet cable from a router to connect directly through the router to the modem. That's the best way to assure that you get good signal throughput so that you're getting the best speed you can possibly get, and you don't have to worry about the wireless network going down. The proximity from the router to your devices is what Bill was talking about a little while ago. It's not the modem, it's actually the router. So if you have a lot of walls in between your device and where the router is located, that's the problem where you might have to suffer some buffering. Otherwise,
there's now a lot of modems that have routers built in.
oh, well, yeah, right. If it's a modem with a router, but it's the router signal, it's the Wi-Fi that's causing the buffering and the poor performance. The modem, sorry, Bill? The modem is just the connection between the ISP and your particular residence.
We have a question here that's a topic that we've had some discussion on amongst our team. This is about mirroring, I think. So devices that will send anything on the computer screen to the TV. This person asked, Sarah said, if she couldn't get the Zoom to go to her Chromecast, exactly what the four of us have been talking about for a while. I haven't solved that problem myself yet, but I think maybe this Lincoln, you have some experience of that with the Chromecast.
I have done some Chromecast with my Android phone to the television. I have not tried it with Zoom, but I've done it elsewhere.
Yeah. It's supposed to work, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you have Apple TV and you have a computer, you can mirror directly through the Apple TV box. That's one of the nice things of Apple doing software and hardware. So it's easy.
I've got it set up on my my iPhone. Works much better on my iPhone than it does through my computer. Yeah. And I do it through a Roku app.
Yeah. And the Roku app is similar to what AirPlay is with regard to the Apple system.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the easiest way to
A
mirror.
lot of times there is some lag between the time
Just lost your audio.
Yeah, there can be a lag between the time something you see on your computer screen occurs and the time it shows up on your TV screen. My laptop, when it works, there's about a 2 or 3 second lag. But on my iPhone, which is a new iPhone, I bought it about 3 or 4 months ago, and so the operating system's pretty fast. There's very little lag at all. And that's to include Zoom.
And with the some sort of adapter, you can plug a laptop or even a phone directly into your television.
That's what we're talking about.
I've done that.
It's an HDMI adapter. They have them for iPhones and Android phones. So you would just take that, plug it into your, you take the adapter, plug it into your phone connection, and then from there you have an HDMI output from your phone that goes directly into the HDMI connector of your TV.
And I've got, if people are seeing me here, I've got a USB-C HDMI adapter right here.
Exactly.
Okay, well, there's a lot of those little tricky things there, and you can come back to Ashby Village volunteers if you're an Ashby Village member and get help with those nitty-gritty details. We had a couple more questions about, no, I think that was it, extenders for this problem of the TV and the router being in different rooms. For myself, I would say whenever you can use a cable, use a cable. Even if it means running it under the house or through the attic. Mm-hmm. An extender is always going to be a weaker link, I think. Okay, we also have, Pat brought up an interesting consideration, wanted to talk a bit about, maybe this is too general, but the pros and cons of cable versus all these other services. Pat, did you want to pursue that topic?
Well, I was kind of thinking over what was going to be presented today, and I was trying to boil it down to what do we have to decide on? And I'm in this predicament where I have AT&T, I have the dish, my phone, and the internet all with AT&T, and I want to break it up and not have to have so many things to pay for. So I was thinking that when you have cable, you have everything all in one, you know, as like a one-stop shop, and it's very easy to manage, and it's very easy to know what is in cable. And but when you go to streaming and different services, if you decide that route, then you're going to have to manage everything yourself as far as what subscriptions, passwords, etc. So these are tiny things to think about, but they can make a difference in the choice you make.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, Pat, but if you have cable TV, and you want to watch Netflix, you still have to subscribe to Netflix.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
If you want to watch Amazon Prime or the Criterion channel or whatever other HBO or any other streaming service, you still have to pay extra. And so the idea of cutting the cable is not to cut the internet, it's just to cut cable TV. Cable TV. And that can be replaced by a number of other services. There are a couple of satellite services. There are a couple, like YouTube TV, which I know Lincoln doesn't particularly care for in terms of its price point, but it is cheaper than what you'll pay for most packages because they bundle things on cable TV. So if you want to watch sports on cable TV, you have to get 200 channels just to be able to watch a basketball game.
Yeah.
With YouTube TV, they don't bundle the way they do, although they might eventually, but right now they're still a reasonable cost compared to what you would pay for an AT&T or Comcast cable TV.
Yeah, I'm finding that the reason why we have Dish is because my husband used to like to watch sports, but there hasn't been any sports lately. So we've not watched TV, and I'm thinking, why am I paying all this money just for the sports channels, etc.? So I'm gradually getting used to the idea of relinquishing Dish and going to these free, and I have Netflix and other things. Netflix. And
Netscape is showing your age.
Yes, I am. So anyway, I'm gradually getting used to change, and that's exactly what is very difficult at this age, is to think that you can make the jump and be okay on the other side.
So there are all sorts of ways you can save money with these things.
Yeah.
One example that probably several people have done, early in July, everyone wanted to see Hamilton, you know, at home, right? You know, don't have to spend $200 for, you know, one seat in the balcony. So I got Disney. I got the Disney Plus service. We watched for 1 month, and then once we watched that show, I closed it. Said I don't want Disney anymore. But of course, since I paid for a month, I still had a month worth of Disney stuff, so I could watch some of these old cartoons from the 30s, which are so amazing.
What was the cost of that?
It was, I think, about $6.
Yeah.
And that was
always renew it. If you want to see it again, you just can renew it for a month. That pretty much is with all the same thing with Netflix, and any of the subscription channels, any of the subscription services. You can go on and off and on and off, depending on what you're in the mood for that particular month.
Right. You just have to keep an eye on the date and when
exactly.
renewal.
Yeah.
Set yourself a reminder. We had a question from somebody about a difference, especially in the cost between accessing and purchasing, for example, HBO through Amazon or through Comcast. Any thoughts on that comparison? Like how?
Well, HBO has a couple of different services. Their newest one, their streaming service, is HBO Max. I'm not sure how much they're charging. I think it's something like $15 a month for that.
No. I'm planning to, I turned it off about a year ago, but I'm planning to turn it on again.
Yeah.
But it's also something that changes by the week, right? We could say how much YouTube TV costs now. Next week, it might be more and it might be different, more. We don't have
Yeah, what they do is they add more content. When they add more content, their costs go up because they're having to pay a content provider to stream that video. So it went from $49 a month to $65 a month because they added the Paramount channels, Viacom Paramount. So yeah, we're getting a lot more programming, but if you're not interested in watching any of that programming, you're still paying for it. So that's the cable TV model that YouTube TV is kind of using to provide them with profits.
Can I ask a question? Because I put in that question.
Yeah.
This is Miriam. Yeah, so I guess what I was confused about was I noticed that I could order HBO through Amazon as its own service, or I can order HBO through Comcast. So I didn't know which one. Is there a difference in terms of cost or also in quality of viewing?
I don't think there'd be a difference in quality of viewing. In terms of cost, I would think as long as it's the same HBO service. Like I said, there are a number of HBO services. So if you were looking at HBO Max on one and HBO Max on the other, they should be the same. Unless for some reason they got a deal and they're bundling it. Bundling is a big thing for these services. So if they're bundling, maybe they got a discount on it, or sometimes they give you a month at a lower cost to just get you to try the service, or even free to try the service, and then they start charging you the following month. It should be the same. It's got to be apples to apples. Just make sure that it's not the other HBO programming that you're charging against another service that they have.
Can I ask the question?
I have a similar question, or maybe
Well,
it's Jen.
speaking of apples, can you say just a sentence or two about using Apple TV service without the Apple TV device?
Yes, that was also my question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have it on Roku. I haven't tried it yet, but I have it on Roku.
I think I could screen share and show you what Apple TV software looks like. This is not Apple TV Plus, but Apple TV software. If I could share.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Go back here. Yep. Yeah, so this is Apple TV, Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus is original movies that Apple TV provides, and that's a subscription service that is actually $5 a month, I think. And these are the programs that you can get, some of the programs that you can get only on Apple TV Plus. Okay, and that you can get just on your computer, but you have to subscribe to it. You can get it on a browser. Then there's the regular Apple TV, which allows you to watch movies. So you click movies, and these are basically rental movies, and they're from all the different services. So you can watch a rental movie from HBO. They're basically an aggregator. They're actually just showing you what's available and how much it costs, and then you click on it and you either rent it or buy it, or some of it might be free. So that's what Apple TV software is. It shows TV shows as well, and kids programming as well. So that's what Apple TV is, and that's basically an aggregator, and you can watch HBO programs through it, but you'll be charged through HBO. Or if you have if you have HBO, if you're paying for a subscription to HBO, you could just click the HBO show from Apple TV, and you don't have to pay for it. It'll just come up. So it's just an easy way to find content using Apple TV.
Howard, can I ask you a question then about that?
Yes.
So if I now, like, I got free streaming for a year because I bought an iPad.
Right.
So I can now watch anything on Apple TV on my
Apple
computer.
TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus on my computer or on my iPhone. But how do I get it onto my TV to watch?
Well, you still need a device like the Apple TV hardware, right? Or Roku.
Okay, so and would you is there an advantage either between Roku or the Apple TV box?
If you're an Apple person, Apple TV box is it's kind of like a more elegant solution. It's easy to navigate, and I prefer it, but it's a lot more expensive, like everything Apple. But you could do it with Roku, and you could do it with other devices as well.
And with the Apple TV box, you just need the HDMI cord to add it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And one more question, because I know I talked to you once before about showing, well, if I want to see a play that I have a link to, can that be done on the TV with the Apple TV box?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the Apple TV box provides you with AirPlay. So if you have an Apple computer, again, it's their environment. So AirPlay is their way of doing mirroring made easy. So you just basically say what device you have, where you want it to show. So you can have AirPlay in your bedroom, you can have AirPlay in your living room, wherever it is, wherever you want to show it, you just choose that, and then your computer will actually throw it to that device.
You know, mentioning the watching a play, I want to point out that PBS is available on all of these on all of these devices. I assume they are, I know they are for Chromecast and Roku. I assume Apple has them too.
Oh, sure. The PBS app, are you meaning the PBS app?
PBS app, yeah.
Yeah. There's one thing about the PBS app that I found when I cut the cord is that if you watch the NewsHour, they don't have the NewsHour program on the same day. They'll have it the next day. So if you're a devotee of the NewsHour at 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you won't see today's NewsHour on the PBS app. You'll see it the next day.
Okay.
I don't know why that is, but that's one of the quirks of the PBS app.
We have a question from Mike. Mike.
I have a couple of questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, on YouTube TV, do you get all the channels that I would get now on Comcast if I move over to YouTube TV?
Pretty much, yeah.
And secondly, if I used an antenna in Berkeley and just got rid of cable, how many channels do you get off your antenna?
Well, you get all the local, you'd get your ABC, NBC, CBS, and all your local channels. Plus, you'd get, now that they're broadcasting in digital, they have digital sub-channels. You'll get all of those as well.
And third question, if I'm a retired senior, if I wanted to find somebody on campus who knows this stuff, who would come to my house and show me how to do it, is there an office?
Join Ashby Village. That's all I could say.
Pardon me?
Join Ashby Village.
But I don't live there.
You're a member of Ashby Village, you get us as resources to help you.
And if you don't live in the Berkeley or those serving areas, there are other villages. This is Carrie from the Retirement Center. We don't necessarily provide streaming and that sort of support. We are not able to provide that or come to the house. But we do know that local villages and senior centers can be a great resource for connecting on that.
I think we need to make, certain that by village, we're not talking about a literal village. It is simply you sign in, the point is you stay in your own home. You can still live in your own home. You don't have to move, and the volunteers will come and help you. Now, during the pandemic, we're a little less willing to go to people's homes than we were before the pandemic. But
we can help over the phone and with Zoom.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a good point at which to close out. I just want to thank everybody, all the panelists and the participants, for their expertise and sharing, and those expertise shared in the chat. Don't forget to save it. We will be sending you a follow-up email, which will contain a link to the evaluation for this session, which will really help us to do it again. It's recorded and it will be posted on the Ashby Village YouTube channel. You just find that by searching YouTube. The slides, a copy of the slides will also be sent as a link in the email and will be posted on the Ashby Village Tech Tips page. And thank you for joining us. This has been great fun, and have a good day.